As I was introduced, I'm the Deputy Mayor and Managing Director for the City of Philadelphia, but I'm not here today in that capacity. I want to take you back to a time when I was a young man, 13 years old, very typical child, loved sports, loved football a great deal, loved my father a great deal. Had a special bond with my father at a very young age. They'd say I would light up when he walked in the room, and he certainly fawned over me. On a Sunday morning in 1979, my father and I were walking down the street. And although I was a typical child, this was not a typical day. It was an exciting day for me because my dad was going to watch me play in my first junior league football game. And I had new clothes on. I can remember what I was wearing. Puma sneakers, brand new, bought them the day before. That's a big deal when you're a kid. New jeans. A Terry Bradshaw jersey, even though I'm an Eagles fan. Yeah. All right. Yep. And as we walked down the street, I was thinking about the nervousness that I had around that game and the fact that my dad was going to watch me for the first time. Butterflies in my stomach, constantly playing it through my head. And we arrived at the car. And my dad said to me, "Get in the back seat." So as I bent down to pull the seat forward so I can climb in the back, suddenly a speeding car, a commotion, which sounded like fireworks to me, very innocent to a 13-year-old. But then there was this smell, and then I found myself on the sidewalk, looking up. Shards of steel all over the ground, bullet holes around where I was, not realizing what happened. I looked forward, and my father had not made it into the car. And as I slowly, in shock, I'm sure, walked around the end of that car, that's where I saw my father. Shot right in front of me in the street by a machine gun, a MAC-10 machine gun. There's that moment where he tried to speak and words couldn't come as the blood flowed from his mouth. Deep, deep red, arterial blood, I would learn later. And at the age of 13, I held him in my arms as he bled out right there in that street. And I was left there all alone, feeling like the loneliest person on the planet. My father was killed with a MAC-10 submachine gun. There is no legitimate purpose for this gun. It is not a target weapon. It is not a military-grade weapon. It is a weapon of mass destruction. It fires a .45 caliber bullet, 1,100 rounds a minute. It is not accurate. It is there to spray violence and create carnage. This is what killed my father. There's no legitimate use for this gun. This gun was subject to the assault weapons ban. It was. Today, you can find this gun on the internet. Today, this semi-automatic gun can be made automatic incredibly easily on the internet. And in case you have a hard time, there are videos today on the internet showing you how to make this an automatic weapon. There's a manual on the internet that shows you how to make this an automatic weapon. You don't need a background check. You can buy it on the internet and look at the price. It's less than $500. The mag is extendable from 30 mags, which, think about it, if it fires 1,100 rounds a minute, you go through 30 in about 2 seconds, a little less, right? Think about that, the rate. It's got an expandable mag to more than 100 bullets that you can put in this gun. There is no legitimate reason for this gun. Today is the start of a national conversation, right? It's a conversation spurned by Newtown. It's a conversation that has a feel that today this is different. Something has changed. But I remember the anguish of that day. And as I saw the families in Newtown, I can tell you, I recognize that anguish. It's the same one. My anguish at a young age was no less than those families. There are people here today who have suffered horrific, tragic loss. Your anguish is no less than those parents in Newtown. We know that. And in many ways, there's an everyday personal Newtown happening in our houses every single day. And we know that. We know that. And your anguish is no less. In cities all across our country, in towns all across our country, there are families suffering their personal Newtown every single day. Their anguish is no less. So even though this is different, we can't forget that there are families out there who are in that anguish. So I'm going to leave you with this, and this is my message today. Just as I used the tragedy and the anguish that I experienced, which I did not deserve as a child, I've used it to drive me my entire life. It's been the driving force on why I'm in public service. It's been the driving force on how I am who I am today, how I got better. Our country needs to use this tragedy, this anguish, as our driving force to a better union, a more perfect union. Because those solemn virtues of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness must mean that we keep our children safe. Must mean that this time it is different. If we don't do that, we have lost a valuable, valuable opportunity. Now is our time. This is our moment. Thank you very much. God bless you.